Hello, everyone. It's Royce here, and I want to welcome you all to the Royce in the House YouTube channel. I want
We're
to
on?
introduce. We are
Royce, I
live.
forgot to
We
put my bra on. I'll be right back.
are. Okay, so
Well,
yeah, so
here in Canada, it's legal. I mean, you don't even have to
okay,
worry about it here in
yeah,
Canada.
okay. The show tonight is going to be on Bob Dylan's new biopic, which was released to theaters on Christmas Day. Now, my wife and I went and saw it on Christmas Day. None of the young people wanted to go see it. That wasn't their style of music, and that was fine. We just the two of us. I mean, hey, we're seniors. Got $9 tickets each. And I tell you what, we just had a great time. And I want
You
to
ought to see
welcome.
Kimberly and I at IHOP, boy. That senior menu looks good.
I want to welcome everyone in the chat. I see we have Joseph Blue just joined us. We've got James Watson, Catherine S. Yeah, Dr. Rick is here. Hey, Dr. Rick. Chris
Hey, Doc.
Elliott. Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Hope all's going good, Doc.
Like I said, Dawson's here. And Novice Nick, hey, I'll put another link up, bro. I'll put another link up. What are you doing down there? Okay.
Oh, he's deciding between two roads. Get your ass up here, Nick.
Exactly. So anyway, so let's get into this. And on Christmas Day, the new movie Bob Dylan biopic was released. Okay, the film follows Dylan's. We're just talking about 4 years here, from 61 to 65. A Complete Unknown is another movie full of fan favorite songs and reproduces the Bob Dylan vibe to an amazing degree. Yes, no, it's not going to be factually, historically accurate, but it is
You think?
fun. But it's fun. It is a fun show to watch, and I really enjoyed it. I'd watch it again. I've watched other little documentaries about Dylan since, and plenty of trailers and stuff about this one. Okay, so in 1961. 19-year-old Robert Zimmerman, yet also known as Bob Dylan, but not known as Bob Dylan when he arrived. Okay, that came later. He was given a name. Arrived in New York City with his guitar. He forged relationships with music icons around Greenwich Village. That was the hot spot for the folk music scene. On his meteoric rise, culminating in a groundbreaking performance that reverberates worldwide. Okay. Dylan's Bible. Well, Dylan came to New York for one reason: to find his idol Woody Guthrie. Okay, and Dylan's Bible was Guthrie's autobiography, Bound for Glory, which was released in 1943, a blend of fact and fiction about the Oklahoma troubadour Woody Guthrie, how he traveled across the United States with migrant workers uprooted by the Dust Bowl during the Great Depression, taking his cue from John Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath. That was a famous movie too, The Grapes of Wrath. That was a great story, old movie. Guthrie,
Tell me about the rabbits, George.
Guthrie, he empathized with the Okies, the Arkies, and the Texans devastated by severe drought. And I got a little family situation with that. My grandfather had a what you call a dry farm in Texas. A dry farm means there's no well. When it rained, they had crops. When it didn't, all 11 kids were working for the neighbors who might have had wells. I don't know. But it was a harsh life. So a little bit of that has touched me from an early age. But anyway, devastated by the drought, their farms, loss of their farms, documenting their hardship, and also learned many of their folk songs. Woody Guthrie learned many of the folk songs, these hardship folk songs. Okay. So Woody Guthrie's Bound for Glory inspired Dylan, an impressionable college student, uninterested in traditional education. Guthrie was multifaceted and impossible to categorize. At once, he was a singer, a poet, a writer, an organizer, a traveler. Guthrie was a rugged individualist who championed the downtrodden, okay, the disheartened, the displaced, and spoke out for them when injustice occurred. That's pretty cool. In Guthrie, Dylan found his muse, his inspiration, his spiritual leader. He's the greatest, holiest, godliest one in the world, Dylan stated. A 19-year-old Dylan stated. Okay. Okay. In his first year in New York, Dylan visited the ailing Guthrie, ravaged by Huntington's. I don't know if I can even pronounce this right. Korea. He was in Greystone Park Psychiatric Hospital in New Jersey, and in the home of you know. And he also was brought to the home of Robert and Cecil Gleason in East Orange. Guthrie suffered immensely. His hands trembled, his shoulders shook. He was barely able to utter words. The Gleasons held Sunday gatherings for him, invited friends of his to just be company for him, even though he couldn't speak and, could barely move his hands and stuff. So Dylan came to New York not only to commune with Guthrie, but also to plunge into the folk music scene, the nationwide epicenter of the revival. New York City, Dylan remarked, was the city that would shape my identity. He didn't know it, but his timing was perfect. He poured himself into the creative stew of Greenwich Village coffee house district, eager to broaden his horizons beyond folk music. So, folks, panelists, I didn't really introduce Michael Nolan, the bottom line, yet. Man needs almost no introduction, but he deserves to always have an introduction. Michael Nolan's got a terrific show, very successful. He's got a huge audience, and he does a terrific job. He's got a big show because he does a good job, and his topics are great. His research is great, and everybody loves his show. So if you don't go to Michael Nolan shows or haven't been going to Michael Nolan shows, go there, check it out. Let him know you're enjoying it. Give him a like. Throw a comment in there,
And by the way, folks, if you like Royce, but you don't care about this fool that comes up here, on my channel, I do most of the time do a rundown of what we accomplished here. For example, my latest video is, what is it, Royce? About 16 minutes.
It was rather long for you. Yeah,
16 minutes of what we covered on The Who. And what I always try to do on my channel is cover the story within the story. So I edit bits and pieces from this show. So what we did was we talked a whole lot about Keith Moon and whether the Who ceased to be the Who. So I took that portion and I didn't cover the albums or anything, just our conversations on that. So often really you'll get a different idea of what we cover over here by watching. And Royce, your video has already gotten 1,600 views in about 24 hours. And the one before that got a 2,500 views. And the one before that, it may have already hit 6,000, which is the second biggest video I've ever shared from your show. One got 8,000. But
I love you sharing those. I really do.
I love doing it because I want people to know both channels are connected. I consider this the brother channel, but you know how they say sister channel, and I'll be Royce's sister channel, and Royce is my sister channel. As far as I'm concerned, this is part of the tribe, folks, what I talk about on my channel. So even if you don't care about what I do on my other videos, there are always, I think I have over 100 Royce in the House videos over on my channel. But and then if you like that 16-minute section, I always provide a link in my description box where you can just click, and it's always the video that we covered on my portion. So
thanks
Michael. For the shout out, Royce. I appreciate it.
That's the whole thing. Michael's got a great show. Now, below Michael and myself is Chris Elliott. Chris Elliott's like the encyclopedia of music here, right?
Well, when Chris joined the panel, we started, and of course, what Nick being up here has really solidified that. But when we found Chris, both Royce and I would talk after the show and go, all right, we got a guy after our own heart here. And plus, he's a bit younger, so all you girls ought to think he's kind of sweet looking and all of that. So we got it all on this show, right?
I mean, we got it all. That's right.
We
That's
have
right.
sex symbols. We got dirty
man.
old men.
Right.
The greens and the brown. Yeah.
So let me just, before we get back to a little bit of storytelling about the movie, I'm a Bob Dylan fan. Okay, I don't have a lot of Bob Dylan albums, and I'll tell you why. I have the essential Bob Dylan. Okay, and this is a double album set, and it's got all my favorite songs on it. I don't know how I could, improve on my library here. I mean, right off the bat, you've got "Blowing in the Wind." I love that damn song. The answer, my friend, is "Blowing in the Wind," and "Don't Think Twice, It's All Right." The times they are changing. I mean, it just, Maggie's Farm, Mr. Tambourine Man. I mean, it just goes from one masterpiece to another. So when you own this album, you're in pretty damn good shape. I do got a couple of others. Don't get me wrong. I've had this for a long time, and it's Bob Dylan, Nashville Skyline, and it's got great songs on it too. And then another one that's actually a soundtrack, and that's it for me. It's Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid.
Love that movie.
Oh, I know. So like I said, I just got these three, and one of them is a soundtrack. But you know what? I love these songs. I am a Bob Dylan fan. Now, Michael, I think you aren't quite the Bob Dylan fan I am, right?
First of all, as a songwriter, I concur with everything you just said. I think he is a songwriter on the level of John Lennon and Paul McCartney. I think
I do too.
I think if you really want to criticize him, most people would say that John Lennon was the, and there's some truth to this. He's the lyricist out of the Beatles, although McCartney could match him on any given song. Blackbird is like talking about,
that's a great one.
Talking about important issues. But most people will go, John Lennon was the guy that, with his wit-isms and all of that. I would have to say that Bob Dylan, when you compare him to John Lennon, he even had more to say. So as a songwriter, I am a major Bob Dylan fan.
He is a great songwriter.
Here's the bugaboo. I can't stand his voice. I can't stand that, once upon a time, Frankenstein lost his mind. I did this to the guys earlier. Getting high. I mean, my God. So I've never bought any of his albums, although now I'm getting back into vinyl. I kind of want Free Willin' and maybe two more, but it's not an enjoyable, I feel like I'm watching the Tin Man on The Wizard of Oz. And when he's, squeaking and stuff, Bob Dylan is the only guy that makes Axl Rose actually sound decent, in my opinion. So now, having said that, Lay Lady Lay showed that he could sing, and I don't understand why, unless it was just part of his gimmick and all of that. All right. Now, they were talking about this movie over on Rachel's Ghost today. They had a really good episode over there. And everybody's talking great things like you did about this movie. So
I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah, I wasn't about to go there. So first of all, I'm not a Chalamet fan, or whatever Timothy's last name is actually pronounced. He did well in the first Dune, ruined the whole franchise in the second. I think he's a poster boy who's always a poser. He's posing. Like, that's acting. We've seen actors like that before. And Mazzy was bringing up a good point that I disagree with, and that is, and Rob was backing him up, and Rob should know why these things occur, is that biopics have this horrible responsibility of changing the story so that it fits within a 2-hour, 3-hour movie, depending on how long it is, and to make it more entertaining. My reaction to that is twofold. First of all, if that's what a biopic is, fuck biopics. I don't like them. Okay. The only biopic I find even tolerable is the Buddy Holly story, and it's got as many holes in it as most of the others, but at least they played their own instruments and totally hid the third cricket which I hated. Okay. And then on top of that, so I guess I don't like biopics. And my other criticism to what I think it was specifically Mazzy saying, no, Rob was in on this too, where was that they have to change things up in order to make it more palatable, more of a story. Forget that shit, man. I mean, this is fucking Bob Dylan. When Queen came out, that basically Brian May character just stood there holding a pick, and they called it Bohemian Rhapsody when it should have been the Freddie Mercury story. I am a major Queen fan,
right?
And you can, and the amount. I mean, there are so many holes in that story, and this whole idea, well, you got to tie it up, you got to make it more romantic. It's like, no, these are 60s legends and 70s legends. These are they got a story, baby. They got a story. Tell it like it is, or don't bother me.
Not everybody likes Bob Dylan's voice, and I understand why, because I like his voice.
Yeah,
but I still do little parodies of it. I'll go like, "How many roads must a man walk down?" And I'll mess around like that just for fun. But I like his voice.
Well, it's like,
I actually like
Axl
Rose's voice too.
Yeah, well, there's no accounting for taste, Royce. I will save your soul before it's over. I am here to save your rock and roll soul. Now, I was going to say, that's a good point. And just because I don't care for his voice does not take away his greatness or his story. The biopic will take away from his story.
Well, you know what? I go to the movies to be entertained, and Betty and I were.
I know this is what they were talking about.
Really entertained by his biopic. Okay,
I really like the third act on this film where Bob Dylan takes the nuclear device and saves the White House. I mean, it might as well be that shit, man. It's like Royce. These guys have an entertaining story. You don't need to be changing it up. As a matter of fact, what's not being included.
That's a really good point, Michael.
These are legends. These are legends. Their story is great. Yeah, I know. What I do on my channel is often I cover the story of these bands. Right. And I get plenty of views for my own little small channel. Regarding that, there is an interest in the truth. I'm still waiting for an honest biopic. My God,
Well, you know what? I know, but I'm fine sometimes with just being entertained.
I know. I know. I'm in the minority.
I've been to so many movies where I wasn't. We have not introduced Chris Elliott yet, have we? Yes,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We have.
We talked. Remember?
But I needed to ask Chris, just as I asked you, Michael, are you a Bob Dylan fan?
Yes, to a certain extent.
Okay.
Like when I was a kid, one of the cassettes my parents always had, where I put it, in the car when we were going to like hockey practice or something, was the greatest hits, eh?
Yeah, that's a great one.
I remember listening to that all the time.
Right.
And I was going to make one more comment. It kind of goes along with what you guys are both talking about, is the fact that he's one of the greatest songwriters.
Thank you, Joseph.
And he's also a very unique singer, like his voice or not. He was a very influential singer at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
And just to cap off everything is, how many other people, except maybe the Beatles, have you heard people cover their songs? Like as many.
Oh, I know.
Oh, I know.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
He's
Bob Dylan is like
terrific songwriter. Absolutely.
Yeah. Bob Dylan, to me, he's like the most organic Brill building songwriter of them all, except that he wasn't at the Brill building. But to me, I haven't heard a song by him that isn't at least worthy of a play if you like his voice. Well, when other people cover, like my favorite Jimi Hendrix cut is All Along the Watchtower. My favorite.
Love that song.
Yeah. His songs made the Byrds, we would not have gotten Norwegian Wood, or before that, You've Got to Hide Your Love Away. That's John Lennon being Bob Dylan, man. You know, and even
he
McCartney
influenced
doing what is that? I've just seen a face I can't forget the time. That's
right,
influenced by
right.
Dylan, right?
Yep.
So he is a great and grand, legendary figure. There is no doubt about that. My criticisms are, you know, the reason
Yeah,
why I
right,
don't have his
right.
albums is the voice, and
Well,
and I'm not a fan of the biopic approach. But
I agree with Catherine here. You know, the acting in the movie was excellent. Edward
hi,
Norton
Catherine.
and as Pete Seeger, that was
Yeah.
excellent. I mean,
Yeah,
the acting was really really good. I thought, you know.
right. Now, is this the Catherine that just she just did a video on her 45? I didn't get a chance to type in and everything, but I did see it. If that's you, Catherine, Catherine, she did a what? Was that a B-side on there? Anyway, her video.
I'm not sure.
I did see it. I wanted to acknowledge it. That's
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the movie. Okay, so
I like
all right.
the
So
night they
Dylan,
drove Old Dixie down.
yeah, right.
Good call.
Dylan became
I don't know if
adept
Dylan
at
wrote that.
navigating village coffee houses, playing at venues such as the Commons, and I did a show on Cafe Wa a while back. You know, it's probably been about a year now, and building personal and artistic networks in the process. His vulnerable look, scruffy appearance endeared him to many. It did not take long for the needy and curious guitar and harmonica player to form a web of relationships. At Cafe Wa on McDougal Street, Dylan gained insight into the eclectic nature of village entertainment. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah,
So
let's not bring electric into it quite yet.
not quite. Yeah, that's right.
We're still in the early period.
Right. He often accompanied blues singers, songwriter Fred Neil on harmonica. Neil was an MC at Cafe Wa, organized a potpourri of acts. This is Neil, the blues guy. Organized acts like poets, comedians, magicians, hypnotists, ventriloquists, and more. Set in the influential New York City music scene in the early 60s, a complete unknown follows 19-year-old Minnesotan Bob Dylan's meteoric rise in the folk singer concert halls, top of the charts. The background, okay, it gets interesting, yeah, the electric part of it later, but in his background, electric rock and roll performance, his groundbreaking electric rock and roll performance at Newport Rock Festival in '65. We'll get into a little bit more of that lately, but
it was so groundbreaking, he got booed.
He
played
booed.
louder.
Yeah.
Can I make one quick?
Yeah. Go ahead, man.
Compliment what you're saying. Just a quick. I found this book, everybody. It's from 1977.
Okay.
It was updated. It was perfectly up to date in 1977. So it's got some interesting.
Right.
Things. And the article on Bob Dylan, it's got a picture from one of his first concerts when he went electric. And the caption says, when he first went electric, the folk purists were outraged, turning on him and with abusive language and makeshift missiles at a series of controversial concerts.
That's exactly
they were throwing
right.
things on stage at him.
Well, you know what's really interesting about what you're saying right now is I saw Bob Dylan and Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers in concert together right up here at the Paso Robles Fairgrounds years ago. And I didn't realize, even though I like Bob Dylan, I'm a fan, I didn't realize how long ago he'd actually switched over to electric. I went there expecting to hear, Blowing in the Wind on the acoustic guitar and Like a Rolling Stone and all these acoustic songs that I absolutely love by Bob Dylan. And he never picked an acoustic up the entire time. He came out, did his set with a white Stratocaster. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers came out, did their set, and then Dylan came out and joined them, and they all played together for another 30 or 40 minutes. It was a wonderful concert. But I remember, we're talking about the booing at that festival because he came out with an electric guitar, and it's not what they wanted to hear. And when I heard that, I really related to it because it wasn't what I wanted to hear either. I wanted to hear the acoustic songs.
Make yourself small, Bryce.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought I'd just mention that because I really could relate to that feeling. I mean,
Well, if you're a folk aficionado, and they were,
right.
you know, these were the short-haired hippies of the
Yeah,
50s, right?
yeah. That's right.
Not
That's right.
quite beatniks, but very, I mean, they coffee house crowds, but it was slightly different than the beatnik scene. And
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
and
Yeah.
so that was their art form, and they didn't want another person interfering with their art form. Kind of like how I feel
Right.
you shouldn't have hip hop and rap artists in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So go figure, huh?
Right. Right.
Right. So I can
Okay. Well,
understand your disappointment, Royce.
no. I was.
Yeah.
I still enjoyed the show, but I wanted to hear my old songs on the acoustic guitar, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay. So the idea of making a conventional Hollywood biopic about Bob Dylan is absurd. American music's great escape artist has spent the last 60 years, reinventing himself. The last Dylan movie was a so-called documentary in which he and Martin Scorsese kept incorporating fictional characters, both the kind of artist you can write a memoir. Bob's the kind of artist you can write a memoir that leaves you with more questions than you had when you started reading.
Yeah.
That's
Now,
pretty.
it's
pretty
interesting. You brought up Tom Petty, who has a similar voice, and I love Tom Petty and
Yeah,
the
he has a
Heartbreakers.
similar voice. I think he has a similar voice too.
And the two of them sounded good with the traveling wheelbarrows for
yes,
some reason.
they
So,
absolutely did
yeah.
sound good with the traveling wheelbarrows.
Bryce, take
So-
yourself off spotlight.
Okay, let's see here. Done. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what I keep hitting by accident here. I've been doing that since we started. But okay. So anyway, talking about, Bob Dylan being hard to nail down, his memoirs leave you with more questions than you had when you started reading. That's why Todd Haynes had it right with his prankishly 2007 masterpiece, I'm Not There. Are you familiar with that, Chris? I'm Not There?
A little bit, but not.
It was the antithesis of the modern musical biopic, a complete unknown. It's probably its platonic ideal. Walk the Line director James Mangold's movie about Dylan early years in New York is pure hokum. Okay, compressing a tumultuous chunk of cultural history into an easily digestible arc, simplifying complicated characters and turning an conventional life into a conventional life, folks. So anyway, I mean, it is a crowd pleaser. If you've seen the picture, it was going to be in a packed movie house. I can testify that because I did see the movie. Plays like gangbusters, and the cross-generational appeal of casting teen heartthrob, much to not everybody agrees with this, Timothy Chalamet as boomer icon Dylan makes this your best bet for a movie to go see with the whole family over the holidays. It's a pleasant way to spend 141 minutes. And I have to agree with that. I enjoyed the hell out of it, Okay, so the Bob Dylan biopic starring Timothy Chalamet is now in theaters, as we know. As with any biopic, there are questions about its historical accuracy, both from sincerely curious fans and from nitpicking diehards. Okay.
Well, that's it. See, there's more than just innuendos that there's any inaccuracies. I haven't seen it, but I watched a couple of videos before we got on tonight, and
Right.
I don't recall, the specifics.
Yeah.
I probably should have taken some notes, but as you know, I wasn't going to be on tonight. But no, they get it wrong. He's with the wrong woman half the time. There's a lot of things that they
Yeah,
get.
no, that yeah.
Yeah,
Between
yeah,
Joe Baez and Rotolo, I think was her name. Yeah.
right. And
Yeah, yeah,
so,
yeah.
yeah, that's my only consider. I think these guys have got a great enough story that you don't need a lot of the rewrites that they do. I think it's
Well,
lazy screenwriting.
that's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't take anything away from that.
Now you
Dylan's
got me up here, Royce. I feel so lonely.
yeah. Well, no, you're a total contributor here, contributing to the delinquency of the rest of us. But anyway, let's see. So let's see, where are we here? I'm going to talk about, okay, like I said, you got the sincerely curious fans about the accuracy, but you also have the diehards that really want to know, is this what's accurate, what's not accurate? Okay. So pay the armchair historians no mind. Yes, the film gets large pieces of the,
Chris, cue Royce.
Yeah,
gets okay.
I don't need to be big.
well,
All right.
There we
I
go.
thought you were enjoying it. Okay.
No, I'm
All
shy.
right. So, yes, the film gets large pieces of the known story of Bob Dylan's early days in Greenwich Village wrong. But those gripes, nobody's going to agree with me, but those gripes are largely irrelevant. Hollywood has long taken artistic license in portrayals of real characters. What matters is how the film does it. The director and co-writer may not always stay true to the literal facts, but they nail the look, feel, emotional, and artistic arc of Dylan's life in the early 60s. And I have to agree with that too. I'm not saying whether it's good or bad, but I have to agree that I thought they kind of nailed the feel and the look and, all of that. What do you guys think? I know you disagree with that.
Well, I'm just not go. I'll let Chris take it from here. I've already criticized. I'm not crazy about the actor. I think he's a poster boy actor. He's a poser. And I don't. I haven't cared for. I've seen him in 2 movies so far, and that's enough for me. But Chris, what do you think?
I don't know. As far as biopics go, they're hit and miss, and for the most part, miss.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot of opinion on the movie itself. Just little tidbits of information about Bob Dylan and that. But
yeah.
And,
well, I just want to mention. I see Novice Nick just passing through the chat here, and I just wanted to remind him. I just put a link up for our other, our other regular co-host to jump on and help us out here, brother.
hey, can I make
looks
another?
like you're asking for a link too. Okay, yeah. Okay, what what was that, Chris?
Just make another contribution to talking about the history of Bob Dylan as well.
Okay, go ahead.
It says he dropped out of a university and went to New York in 1961. He began singing in folk clubs around New York and regularly visited Woody Guthrie in the hospital.
Yeah,
He'd go and visit him all the time, and then he made it, at least at that time, made it his mission to emulate his music. And, like the folk.
Well, he really loved Woody Guthrie. He really did. Dwayne Wolotica just brought up Susie Rotolo, one of maybe his first girlfriend when he got there, that he lived with for a while, and she was into a lot of different things. But she was on the cover with him on the Free Will and Bob Dylan has, and she's
isn't her character kind of greatly hacked away in the film? Isn't that one of the things? I may be wrong about that, but
I don't know. I don't know how much more she could be put in and really keep the movie that interesting. Okay, we've been joined by Novice Nick. How are you, buddy?
I am good. Hello,
Did you get my email earlier in the week?
Oh, yeah, about an hour and a half ago.
Oh shit! Okay,
it's been a crazy week.
I thought I'd send it out like 3 days early so everybody.
And I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's funny. I didn't see it during the week, and then this
Yeah.
afternoon I searched your name. I'm like, duh, there it is.
Well,
And because I saw the promo, I'm like, wait,
yeah.
2 weeks in a row
Wait,
he did that.
2 weeks in a
I
row.
am never doing celebration.
Okay. We are going to do it, but something just
No,
came,
no, no, no.
no,
Lies, all lies.
It
no,
is.
but something this just came up, and we'll probably push it back another week,
Of
which
course.
might be
New
pushing it.
Year's is coming up, so that
Well, you
needs
know
to
what?
push
Well,
it
you know,
back
it's all,
another week.
that's going to get it back closer to the IMAX thing, but that's not the reason. Santa visited me. Look at that. Santa visited me and brought Electric Lady Studios a Jimi Hendrix Vision with him.
Wait, I
And
had you on my naughty list. I'm Saint Nick this time of year.
but
Yeah, I
have
can't imagine what I would have left you if you'd been on my good list.
I'm just chomping at the bit to do a show on that. You know what kind of a Hendrix fan I am. No bigger a fan of Hendrix than I am of Zeppelin.
Yeah.
But still, I've been really excited to get this album. And when my wife asked me what I wanted for Christmas, I sent her a picture of this album. With all.
Where did she find it?
Oh, you can get it. You can get it
Oh,
on
okay.
Amazon. In all these different places. But there's a lot in it, and I just want to unbox it and talk about it, and maybe make a show out of it like we did with all the Zeppelin shows.
Was that the album or your wife?
Yeah, unbox my wife. Both.
There you go. That's a smart man.
Is the
Hey,
album?
Caitlin. How
Hey,
you doing,
Hi,
Caitlin.
Kate?
Caitlin.
Caitlin's
I'm a
daughter.
late bloomer when it comes to Dylan.
Never.
You're right.
Now I'm being
That's
called
right,
naughty
Angela.
out there. Caitlin knows me better now. I'm a
And
straight
Angela,
arrow.
thank you for not including the jolly old Saint Nick. Though some days I feel it.
Can't quote without
well,
saying what?
that's exactly right. But
What's that, Nick? Huh?
well,
Jolly
what?
Saint Nick.
Right.
I don't know if you guys are aware of this because we've been talking a lot about historical inaccuracies, which Hollywood takes the liberty to do whenever they want to. But despite such hurdles, the director dove into a biopic about the living legend, a complete unknown, and captures the time period of 4 years, 61 to 65, when Robert Zimmerman from Minnesota morphed into Bob Dylan of rock immortality. Of course, it helped. Now listen to this. It helped that the fan had the man himself along for the cinematic ride. Bob Dylan read the script, and we had 4 or 5 meetings, and he made himself available whenever I needed him. Says
bravo.
Director, okay? The director said that, okay, whose film was anchored in the 2015 book, Dylan Goes Electric. So anyway, Newport, Seeger, Dylan, and the night that split the 60s. And we all know what we're talking about here. When Bob Dylan decided he wanted to start playing electric from now on, not acoustic, and everybody threw a fit. Okay, so the film starring Timothy Chalamet as Dylan follows the musician's life starting in 61 when he arrives in New York at the age of 19 to pursue a music career. He cultivates professional and personal relationships with music icons, including Joan Baez, played by Monica Barbaro, Pete Seeger, Edward Norton. I was surprised that was Edward Norton. I think Edward Norton's a great actor, and yeah, he did a great job playing Pete Seeger. Excellent.
That's the new thing is to make some of these character actors not look like themselves. Now, remember the Batman and Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
Absolutely unrecognizable. You kind of wonder why are they there.
I didn't know who it was until I read the name in the credits, and then I knew it was him. But
Yeah,
I had to read it to know that. Okay. So anyway, so he he developed a relationship with Joan Baez. He became great friends with Pete Seeger, Edward Norton, and falls in love with political activist Sylvie Russo. Okay, so it's based off of Dylan's real life relationship with Susie Rotolo. Okay, Rotolo. Baez was already an established folk artist when they met, per Business Insider. But his relationship with Baez grows complicated when he meets Russo, a young woman who works as a social justice organizer at a Riverside Church folk concert. Okay. So
And
not,
who just so happened to be hot.
yeah, I know. Yeah.
Doesn't hurt.
I'm sure it
No.
was her mind that turned him on.
Absolutely.
Sure. All that organizing and that. Not
Mhm.
only does Russo become a significant love interest, but she inspires him to write political songs. In the movie, she leaves Dylan for 12 weeks while she heads to Italy to study art, which leaves Dylan heartbroken. However, they enter an on and off again relationship, ending with Russo breaking up with him for good after the Newport Film Festival. Okay. So anyway, the film culminates in a shocking performance at the Newport Folk Festival. And I meant folk festival before, not film festival. Okay, at the Newport Folk Festival, and although it was a pivotal moment in Dylan's life, it was also just the beginning of what would be a ongoing, decades long ongoing career. Okay,
Nice.
so yeah, so he okay, so the Newport Folk Festival performance in '65. Since then, Dylan has continued to release albums and tour the world, cementing his spot as one of the biggest musical legends of a generation. As for his personal life, in the movie, Dylan meets Baez, a fellow unsigned artist, who becomes his musical and romantic partner in an open mic night along the way. In real life, however, Baez was already an established folk artist, okay, when they met, per Business Insider. But his relationship with Baez grows complicated when he meets Russo, a young woman who worked for a social justice organization at the Riverside Church folk concert. Dylan went on to marry twice and have 6 children, following his split from Baez and Rotolo or Russo, however you want to say her name. Determined to change the course of American music, it spans the next 4 years of his life through his rise to fame in the folk music world, up until a pivotal 1965 performance at the Newport Folk Festival, where he shocked the crowd and traded in his acoustic set for rock and roll and electrified. Okay, he gave up the acoustic. He was going to go all electric then. He performed at the festival. He shifted from folk to electric for the first time, leading the crowd to boo him after performing Maggie's song with an electric guitar. For years, Dylan believed that he was met with dismay from the crowd, including his mentor, Seeger, who he thought attempted to cut the cables to cut the music off at the festival because of the genre shift from acoustic to electric. So anyway, in 2002, Dylan finally made his way back to the Newport stage after 37 years of refusing to perform at that festival because of what happened when he made the change. Okay. On the 25th year anniversary of Dylan's shocking electric set, the festival put on a tribute performance titled 65 Revisited, okay, per Newport Folk. Okay, so what's more, a guitar collector who had won Dylan's old guitar at an auction notified the festival, giving them the chance to use the very same legendary instrument to the tribute performance. So anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was
Yeah.
that whole thing of coming back to Newport. I thought that was a great story.
See, I was developing a close relationship with a woman, 61 to 65.
Oh, you
And
were.
yeah, I don't know if it could get any closer. My mother, I was but a child, an infant to a child. Yeah. So,
And now I was about to ask if it was Piccolina the cat.
wow.
Yeah. You got Bill K
Thank you,
in
Bill
here.
K.
Number 26
Hey,
in the
Bill.
thumbs up category. Thank you, Bill K. Would
Thanks,
everybody
yeah.
that hasn't
Big
already hit that thumbs up or like button, please do so now.
Piccolina.
Whether you're watching live or you're watching this later, when we're not live, the thumbs up button is super important. It actually tells the algorithm people like the show and
Yep.
encourages the algorithm to present the show to people searching for content. And of course, that just does nothing but lead to growth, and we're all about growth here. Everybody with the channel is about growing, you don't want to stagnate. So anyway, please hit the thumbs up button, and much appreciated. And I try to remind everybody of that, and then I get involved with the show and I don't remind them. But Bill K says he's number 26.
I drop it every
awesome.
now and then.
Yeah, I know you do, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
It's really kind of a big thing for the show. Of course, so is subscribing. Subscribing doesn't cost anything. You just hit that subscribe button right on the show right now, and you are a subscriber. And if you hit that notification bell that goes along with the subscribe, you'll get a one-time notification when a new show is coming out. And by the way, we have 400 videos on our channel now. A whole bunch of this rock stuff. They're not all an hour or 2 hours long. I have a whole bunch of very popular videos that run from 6 to 9 minutes long. And they're pre-recorded, but we still have a live chat with them. And, they've been very well received. I'm going to start making more of them. I've been stepping it up a little bit. I've made a lot of shorts this week, 3 or 4 of them I put on, and they've done real well. They've been real popular. I had a Bob Dylan one today.
I caught that one.
Blowing in the Wind. It's just 15 seconds long, those shorts, Anyway, so Novice Nick, Piccolina the cat, Jersey,
absolutely.
Good to see y'all here, guys. Good to see y'all here. Okay, so let's see. Now, I don't really want to talk much about what happened over the next 5.5 decades. It was really just about the movie, And so anyway, he did get it. Bob Dylan did get into a motorcycle accident near Woodstock, New York. The incident became a mystery for years. Injuries.
That's what I was just reading about, Bryce.
Oh, really? Yeah. The injuries included a broken vertebrae were reported, yet no hospital records were ever found. Following the incident, Dylan canceled his tour and remained out of the spotlight for many, many years. According to the outlet, Dylan addressed the accident in his 2004 autobiography Chronicles, Volume 1, writing, "I had been in a motorcycle accident and I'd been hurt, but I recovered. Truth was that I just wanted to get out of the rat race." So he wanted a break from the rat race as much as anything,
But while he was taking that break, he actually recorded a double album with the band called the Basement Tapes, which he didn't let be released till 1975.
Gotcha.
Wow.
And that was part of the mystery. Did he have the motorcycle accident, or was he just trying to record the album on the sly and everybody thinking he's done, or,
And on top of that, that whole thing got to McCartney's ear about how he did that, and that's why McCartney approached Wings Wildlife the way he did. It's very purposefully underproduced and underrated album. Wings' very first album.
Well, a comment here on Joan Baez. Okay, she began collaborating and dating Dylan in the early 1960s until he broke her heart in 1965, which ultimately inspired Baez to write her big 75 hit, Diamonds and Rust. It's funny because I have 6 Joan Baez albums. And after we watched and I had never listened to any of them, they were given to me. I built a house for a couple of guys, and one of them died in the middle of the night of a heart attack, and the other one became senile. And so I built a custom home for him and went back and added on to a beautiful home on 4 acres. And then, a couple of years ago, they wanted me to sell it for them. Their niece was in charge at that point, but she gave strict instructions that only Royce and Betty could sell the house as realtors. So I built it for them.
That's sweet.
Well, while I was standing in there was this huge cabinet against the back wall. And I said to the niece, I said, did Richard and Frank have any vinyl albums? She goes, "Oh, you're interested in vinyl albums?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, open those drawers on that big cabinet. They're solid all the way across. Take whatever you want.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
wound
you're
up,
as bad as the waxed, man.
so
Uh-huh.
I wound up with like I think six Joan Baez albums, 6 Village People albums.
Sorry about that, Rob.
You know, and so Betty and I got home and go, hey, let's check out some Joan Baez. She sounded like she had a pretty nice voice in the
Absolutely.
movie, and we played a couple of them, and then I don't know if we'll ever play. You know, it was okay, you know, but I don't know if we'll play them again. To be honest with you, I have so much stuff I like so much better
Yeah.
that hasn't got enough play yet. You know what I'm saying?
But you experienced it. So that's the great part about
right,
it. Yeah.
right. But I did get some good stuff that I do like and do play out of that cabinet too, you know. So anyway, so Baez told People magazine that she found total forgiveness for Dylan. Okay.
Wow.
She told
As
them
she
that
sticks the
didn't know-
voodoo doll with the
Yeah. She told him that she and him have never like reconnected or anything. But anyway,
well, that happens.
So meanwhile, Rotolo and Dylan, you know, the other girl that we talked about earlier, had an on and off again love affair for years, much to do with the disapproval of her parents. Okay, until it ended in the mid '60s. In addition to remaining politically active, she spent most of her adult life pursuing a career as an artist, according to the New York Times. She married film editor.
Oh, they're trustworthy.
Yeah. She married a film editor, Enzo Bartocioli, in 1967, and together they had a son, Luca. I wonder if that became Luca Brasi in The Godfather. So Rotolo died in February 2011 from lung cancer. All that smoking of Bob Dylan's, no doubt. At the age of 67, did Bob Dylan ever get married, start a family? Absolutely. Bob Dylan, you know, he got married a couple of times and has kids, you know.
He actually
Look back at his marriages, all about his first wife, Sarah Dillon, and second wife, Carolyn Dennis. Sarah had a daughter, Marie, from a previous marriage, whom Dylan adopted, following their wedding. Over the span of 4 years, the couple welcomed 3 more children together, Anna, Sam, and Jacob. So anyway, they quietly raised their family in Woodstock for years and moved to Malibu, California in 1973. Their marriage started to fall apart. And in 74, when Dylan, when Dylan started taking art classes, Dylan later told Uncut magazine of the lessons. I went home, and after that, and my wife never did understand me. Ever since that day, she just never understood me. Anyway, so they got divorced in 77. Okay. All right. So that enough about Dylan's marriages. You know
that name of that one kid that he had, Jacob. You know, that's a good name. I think there could be a future in rock and roll for him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's right. Well, you know, my grandson's name is London Rain, Reingn, and he actually has a rap record out. He won't let me play it to anybody. He'll tell me I don't respect his boundaries if I do, so I'm not going to do that. He got. I respect his boundaries, but I tell you what, it's so damn good. I'm just dying to play it for people. I mean, I actually was a fan of rap for a while there.
Nobody respects boundaries anymore.
Well, yeah, according to my oldest daughter, I don't respect boundaries, and she is like the number one non-boundary respecter on the face of the earth. It's just incredible to hear that from her. This is the girl that got dance lessons 5 nights a week. We gave, I don't know how many cars we gave her, including a 4-year-old Lexus with black coach leather interior that we had just paid off because she was complaining her car was starting to smoke. I mean, we did.
Well, can I complain to you? I just don't have the right albums. I don't know what to do.
Okay,
I don't
calm
have
down, calm down. I got
a
some.
vinyl Jimi
I got
Hendrix.
some. I think you'll like.
I think I need a velour box set. I don't know.
I don't have any albums either, Royce. And Nick hit me
Right?
before the show. He punched me
Yeah.
right in the nose.
That's
Oh,
funny.
that's terrible. We picking on
Right.
Royce.
But anyway,
Okay.
so
That's
one of
because
these
Nick
one of
and I
these days.
recognize the soft touch, brother.
Well, I'll tell you something.
not what she said.
My grandson London, when he was about 2.5 years old, played the guitar and sang to his mama. It's the
Oh,
cutest damn thing he ever saw. And I had that on kind of a playlist. And
Oh,
he asked me to
nice.
take it off, and I said, "Why? I really enjoy watching it." I know, but I want you to take it off. So
Well, that's
eventually,
just too damn bad.
I know it's like, hey, it's a grandfather watching his little grandson. I mean, I was the
Yeah.
only dad he knew for a few years until my daughter got, married. But anyway, so
Yeah, our
Well,
daughter's
boundaries
the
go
same
to
thing.
Ethiopia.
Yeah, there's certain photos she doesn't want. No, don't even show that type of thing as she's growing up. She did the same thing.
well,
Pretty normal.
let me say goodbye to William.
Please do. Bye-bye, William. Let me say goodbye to you.
Okay.
Who's William?
Now watch it. The son of a bitch will come in as the fake Jason Rojas or the fake Mark Glassman. So
Yeah,
anybody sees that, just knock him right on out of the park.
No worries.
right. No, Rojas has come in.
Yeah.
The fake Rojas.
Well, I don't have a problem with the real Rojas. He seems
Everybody's
like an okay guy,
behaved
but
so far
I
outside
don't.
of the.
Yeah, everybody's behaved so
Yeah.
far. Just saying hi to everybody, hi to the
Mhm.
team.
Yeah.
So I don't
That's
know,
that's
man.
how William usually starts,
Uh,
is with a hi, hello, and then
yeah,
it escalates. Just last night, he
but
couldn't
then
keep his trap shut about Rob the Wax. He's all over the place.
Anywho,
right.
I saw a great
Yeah.
movie
Well,
this week.
no, I know. Yeah. Go ahead. What movie did you see?
I've seen it before, but I actually purchased the Blu-ray, and it was incredible. Secretariat. If
Oh, okay.
anyone's,
I haven't seen that one. It was supposed to be a really good, popular movie.
it's an outstanding story.
Okay. Okay.
Not only about the horse, but about the owner and the family as well. It is really what the soundtrack is done just right. It's a beautiful show, and of course, the goat, the greatest of all time, Secretariat. Just
Yeah. The goat.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean the runner up in the first two races was actually broke the track records as well, but they came in second. I mean,
Wow.
that's an incredible race when the first two horses break the track record.
Right.
Yep. But
Yeah. No,
it's
that
an
is.
incredible story, and then I got to watch. I purchased a used Blu-ray on Amazon. It was like $7. Perfect. Everything was there. And I watched the extras. Had interviews with the woman that actually uh, the story was about, and it was a wonderful story.
Well,
So
that's awesome, Nick. And I want to say, Eric Schultz just said, "Hello, Royce. Good to see that Michael Novosnick and actually Chris
James.
Elliott, not James. Yeah. But anyway, but
Chris,
he meant
yeah,
Chris Elliott. So
absolutely.
yeah. Well,
Oh, yeah.
see how popular.
Hey,
See
the gang's all here.
how popular you guys are.
Eric asked a question, Royce. He said he just got here, so I missed whatever you guys said about the Bob Dylan movie. Did you guys like it? Maybe you could give him a recap.
Well,
You're the only one
Eric,
amongst us that's seen it.
Yeah, we
So
didn't see it.
I saw it on Christmas Day when it came out. My wife and I went to the movies, and I tell you what, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was thoroughly entertained. Historically accurate, probably not
Most of them
that
are,
much. Like most of them are exactly.
but you
But
have to add some
just like
entertainment.
yeah, and I was entertained, and that's what matters to me when I
Good.
go to a movie. And it was the same. I did a show right before Bob Marley's biopic, and I'm a big Bob Marley fan. That came out. I did a show on that too, and I couldn't tell you how much of that was historically accurate, but I could tell you how much I enjoyed it. And
Yeah,
I did
I heard
enjoy
it
it.
wasn't. but
like I said, I would recommend going to see
yeah.
the Bob Dylan biopic. I did enjoy it.
Now, here's another argument that was mentioned that I didn't mention before that's in favor of the movie and these kind of biopics is that it gets younger fans interested in the music again.
Yes,
Queen's
that's exactly
Queen's
right.
catalog, for example, just set a record by selling over $1 billion. All right.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
almost doubling what Dylan
Yeah.
got for his catalog.
Isn't
And
that
that all of that is a direct result of that of Bohemian Rhapsody, which is a
Yes, Bill.
horrible movie
Yeah.
as far as the accuracy and everything goes. But
It was
it
entertaining.
got a lot
the
of,
accuracy,
you
but
know,
it had
people
a lot of great music though, right?
well, people had quit listening to Queen there for a while. You didn't hear. I mean, other than you'd hear "We Will Rock You," which is one of the
Yeah.
most boring Queen songs in the world. But you would hear that. You would hear, of course, "Mama Just Killed a Man." You'd hear that.
Yeah.
But
Right.
a lot of their great stuff was dropping off the airwaves bit by bit. And if there was a band, like I told Royce, I think I finally have chosen Yes as my fourth band. But the other band that I was very tempted to put into fourth place, as far as my fourth favorite band, was Queen. Now, when that movie came out, that did a ton of work towards making Queen a household name again.
Yeah.
And I believe, a direct response why they were the first band to command $1 billion for their music catalog.
That is
When 5 years ago, you couldn't get them on the radio. They wouldn't play Killer Queen even,
Yeah.
Very rarely, very rarely.
okay.
I'd like to add that these movies that are going back showcasing artists from yesterday and years before. The nice part about them is they don't have to be nailed on the head accurate, but it's
No.
every generation coming up, including our own, has always we're the first ones to ever have to go through turmoil and have this problem and have that problem and blah blah blah, and it's exposing the future generations to it's the same as it always was,
Yeah.
and yet it's different, and it's exposing
Right.
them to music that got them a lot of them to where they are today. So I think even though they're not, historically exactly accurate, they're exposing, future generations to music that may have skipped them by if not for, exposure this way.
and so much, when it comes to the editing. In fact, my deceased sister's son is a film editor down in the Hollywood area, and he, when it comes to editing, I mean, you have choices to make. Okay, what you're going to cut out, what you're going to leave in, and what's going to make the show maybe more successful. But like The Godfather, for example, one of my favorite all-time movies. I bet if you hadn't cut any film out, that thing would be days long.
Most of them would.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the whole thing, you've got a lot of stuff gets cut out,
Yep.
Well, another biopic that completely reinvigorated interest in a classic rocker was my favorite biopic, and I like it because the actors actually play their instruments while they're doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm talking the Buddy Holly story.
Yeah.
When that came out, everybody who was in their 20s and in their teens were out buying the soundtrack to that album and lining up to see that film 4, 5, 6 times before it left the theaters. If you remember, it even had that first work in a major film of a steady cam of them coming down the stairway.
Yep.
That had never been achieved before.
Right.
And it is as inaccurate as as the Queen biopic, or excuse me, I shouldn't call it the Queen biopic. It's the Freddie Mercury story. You know,
Yeah, right,
relegating, you know,
Yes, the band.
the
Right.
other three to just holding picks. I've said this pre-show, picks and drumsticks in the
Yeah.
background, like it's all about. You know, we talked about "We Will Rock You." All right. I didn't think that was my favorite Queen song, but it's probably everybody. Oh, all right. That song wasn't written by Freddie Mercury. That was a Brian May song.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so when they did the Buddy Holly story, of course, Paul McCartney had just bought his catalog himself. That's how McCartney became a billionaire, was through getting interested and publishing music, getting the owner's rights.
Yeah.
He was the original rocker to ever get involved in that.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, you can see the germ of that happening in the Get Back film when Dick Lester comes in. Not Dick Lester, Dick Rowe. Anyway, he's the guy that sang the song Robin Hood, riding through the Glen in the old Robin Hood TV show that many of us grew up. Well, he owned the Beatles' a portion of their catalog, and so he was going in and he's saying we can buy this and that, and you see him in the film, McCartney and him. At first, John's interested. McCartney follows him over, and they're back. They're talking. Right there is the germ. Right there is where McCartney's getting the idea to get into these. But anyway, it reinvigorated Buddy Holly's entire stature in rock. Really.
Yeah. Hey, Michael, I want you to look what Joseph Blue just put up. Timothy Chalamet had to learn how to play guitar, harmonica, and sing for the film.
Oh,
I'm impressed with that.
yep.
Well, you know, plus these movies in exposure is bringing money to the artists. I mean,
Yes,
you know, we like this one.
Okay, hold on. Wait, keep that up there.
It's
No,
brought
you don't-
lots of money.
Yeah.
It's brought lots of money to the artist. Doesn't care anything about politics. Just the fact that it's made him $1 million more.
$1 million more, yeah.
Oh, how
my
many
God.
years later? 20.
Well, there was nothing like going to a dance, and that movie comes on, and everybody's doing that, you know, YMCA.
Yeah.
I don't
God,
know.
gag me with a spoon.
But the payoff.
Gag me with a spoon. I hated
But you
that
have to
song
remember,
the
everybody
second it came out, and I hate it a million
But
times
when
more
if
now.
you were on the dance floor and you were drunk, it was fun. Okay.
Right. It had nothing to do with this message. It was just fun.
No, I didn't. I don't care what the message was. I don't care what they stood for or anything. It just sucked as a song, man.
Well, yeah, it was more of it wasn't really a quote unquote song. It was more of a celebration of life at the time.
That song would come on. Now I'd switch to a country station, and I'm not a country guy.
And that's why they make
for the most
chocolate
part.
and vanilla.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
But you know, that I'm also not a fan of the disco era. That doesn't mean that disco. There weren't some fantastic disco songs and all of that. I could probably rattle off 12 that I really, really like. I like the Average White Band. I liked McCartney's and the Stones when they dipped into the disco scene. Yeah, everybody did, Nick. You're right. But
it was fun.
With the exception of just the real best of disco, I was so glad to see that. I hated
a lot
disco.
Of people were, but
I was a musician, and we were being put out of work by disco. Every dive bar that I used to play at would dump their dance floor or dump their bandstand, put a dance floor and a damn freaking disco ball in it. I hated it. I hated it, man.
Yeah, it hurt your wallet too.
It did. It cost me money.
Yeah.
You know, Catherine here is talking about Coal Miner's Daughter, and a later movie about Patsy Cline helped bring her legacy back to people's minds.
Yeah.
Yes, it did. Good
Not-
point, Catherine.
Yeah,
That's
what
a
about-
great
absolutely.
example.
What
Well,
about
that
us?
is the most
Great
redeeming
people.
value of any of these biopics, whether they're accurate or or you like it or not, is the fact
No,
that,
that-
you guys are pointing out, is the fact that it brings the artist back
Yes,
to the limelight,
it totally
Right.
does. It totally
for
does.
Right.
better or worse. Sometimes.
I mean, how about
In a lot of cases, well
the Johnny
deserved.
Cash,
Yeah.
the Johnny Cash movie that
Yeah,
was
that
made?
was a good one.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought that was a great movie too. How about you, Michael?
I actually like that one.
Yeah.
Neither one of them looked like who they were playing, but
That's
true.
that tells you how good
Right.
Phoenix is
Yeah, no, that's
as
right.
an
Yeah.
actor. They played what's her name? Too sweet. That she wasn't that sweet. She wasn't that innocent.
Oh,
But considering who they had to play, but I don't know. I see. This is where that's a weakness. Johnny Cash is one of my earliest heroes.
Yeah.
Him and the Everly Brothers were
Yeah.
the first kind of people I kind of listened to, I became fans of on the radio. It was Ring of Fire, which was written by his wife, not him. And that turned me on to Johnny, and anything else
Yeah.
he did after that. And then, of course, the Everly Brothers, all I heard was magic gold in those voices. Oh my, I
Yeah.
could sing. I trained myself to sing Phil and Don's part. I can slip in and out of each one of those parts so easily. That's how well I know their stuff. So those
Well,
were earlier influences for me.
Did I-
And
did I-
you want a biopic? What about them, man?
Yeah.
You know?
another
Yeah,
one.
yeah, no, that's right. Did I ever tell you guys a story about what my dad said about Johnny Cash? Me and my younger
No.
brother with my dad. We're in some little cafe that has a jukebox, and Johnny Cash's "Ring of Fire" comes on, and my dad was a huge country fan. I mean, Hank Williams, Senior. I mean, all of these back from the 50s and 60s, and so that came on, and it was just I don't care where you went. You went in a place with music playing, Ring of Fire was on. I mean, it was freaking huge. And he goes, I said, "Hey, Dad, you like Johnny Cash?" He goes, "No, not really." I go, "What? I thought you loved country music." He goes, "I do, but Johnny Cash is a hophead."
Yeah. Yeah.
Boy, was he disappointed in me later.
Well,
Yeah.
I was surprised because, see, both of my parents were country and Western musicians, right? And
That's right. Yeah.
so I was raised on country and Western. So when rock and roll came around, I couldn't listen. I hated country. Just slight. I hated it less than opera. Let's just put it that way. But opera being the one thing I just can't stand. I'm sorry, it doesn't sing to me. But it was a rebellion. Once I got back, and then some of the country in the last 20 years, when they get, some of the country in the last 20 years is more rock and roll than the rock and roll acts out there, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh no,
you know.
absolutely. You listen to the guitar, you listen to the guitar parts and stuff.
Yeah.
There's no twang anymore. It's just straight up rock.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
You got to play to the people that'll pay.
And Johnny was, I didn't know that he just seemed, I looked at him and I go, that's Johnny. You just didn't compare him by genre in my brain, because I know I would have rebelled if I had seen him at, a lot of people say, and there's a lot of truth, there's a lot of country with the Everly Brothers too, but I never saw them as country. Matter of fact, I just saw them as the next step.
Okay. Well, Catherine here, I didn't know this. Catherine S. says, the same director of Walk the Line and A Complete Unknown. Same director.
Right. I had heard that. Thanks, Catherine. I had forgotten, but I had read that earlier today. You're right. Yeah.
And then, Sid says that they really need a biopic on Willie Nelson.
That'd be an interesting one.
No, I would go in a heartbeat. I would go to that.
You'd almost have
do
to
a
make it
series.
two parts.
Willie is great.
More than one.
I mean,
Hey, And we could potentially do the same thing with Bob Dylan if you really wanted to break it down.
Yeah, right.
Okay, now
50
Eric
plus years.
Schultz. Eric Schultz
60
has a
years
question
now.
for you, Michael. How about a Motley Crue opera album?
Oh God, that would do it for me, Eric. That would do it. That would be the one. That would, you
Did
want to see me going screaming out
The end is near.
exit. Fire, fire.
Did anybody see my new Motley Crue album with the Zoetrope vinyl,
Nope.
or even know what I'm talking about?
Zoetrope?
No, I didn't know
No,
you had one.
Well, I couldn't resist. It was a limited edition,
Of course.
and it's got special effects as it spins.
Huh.
Did
yeah.
they
What, does
see
make
it
them sound
coming?
better?
Well, hold on.
That the
Now,
special effect?
having said that, I actually gave a tepid thumbs up on Motley Crue's "Dogs of War." I thought that was a decent track, and of course, at the time I did that video, we talked about how they were about ready to release another album. Nikki Sixx was just interviewed and saying there's really no reason. We recorded 3 or 4 songs, so we're just going to release them as singles. See, because they're out there touring and charging you money to hear Vince absolutely rape the lyrics. He can't even remember. He just gets up there, happy to be, Dr. Feel Good. That's all he does. But that's where the money is. So they were working with Bob Rock. Okay. I thought, Jesus, if they pulled this off and had an album full of songs that were as equal to A Dog of War, then I would have liked that album. But nothing. They got 3 or 4 tracks. That's all they're gonna do, bud.
I'm gonna bring myself in a little closer here. This is that album.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
I'm actually gonna pull it out real quick. It's Motley Crue, Dr. Feelgood on Zoetrope vinyl.
Woo-woo.
The GX Platinum. Okay, blah blah blah. Anyway, this has special effects when it spins.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Looks
Yeah.
cool.
And so I just I don't know. I mean, I was not a huge Motley
Sure
Crue
is
fan, but
party.
Yeah.
yeah,
I'll give you that.
It is. Yeah, it is. And so
I like the other side.
yeah,
The other side
that
pops. Yeah.
I'll try to spin it for you.
Hey.
Anyway, so I saw that and I was like, what the hell is this? This might
Wow.
look good. This might look I didn't hate Motley Crue, you know what I'm saying? They were all part of the glam metal, big hair rock, And I've done videos on them back about 3 years ago. I think I did glam metal, big hair rock, and glam rock, And those if you were going to sit down and watch some MTV, you were going to see a lot of that, And so anyway, I bought that one really more for the picture. But you know what? My daughter was a cheerleader in high school. And they have orange stands that you get up there and you dance on. You stand on this wooden platform that's about 2 feet off the ground. And she had hers custom painted with this Dr. Feelgood symbol on both sides. And they didn't make her take it off. A couple of the other girls did it. They made them take it off, but they let Amber. Somehow she got by with hers on there. Anyway, so there's the historical significance of this album.
There's one biopic that another one that kind of people are on the fence on is The Doors. What do you guys think of that one? With
I really liked it a lot.
Okay. I know what you're talking about.
Said it was that they
don't care for the director. He's always weird. I didn't care for it.
Now the actor was a great actor, and I can't think of his name off the top.
Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer, yeah.
Yep.
He's a great actor. He did a
great job.
Excellent job, yeah.
Yeah. And there's bits and pieces of it that are kind of cool, but to me, that guy, I'm trying to remember his name who directed it. He rewrites history all the time.
Okay.
He did the JFK movie. Oliver Stone? Wasn't it Oliver Stone that did
The
the Doors?
Yeah.
I don't
Let's see
know.
here.
He
It's just
Yeah, I
off
think it
memory.
was. Yeah.
probably
Oliver
was, I
Stone, yeah.
guess.
I'm not a big Oliver Stone fan at all. Never cared for his movies.
Well, the thing about that movie is sort of like what we were just talking about with the other ones is they only pretty much concentrate on one side of Morrison, and they don't show the other half of his.
Right.
There's a reason why he was so popular and everybody, because he was actually a nice guy. You watch that movie, you think he was just a fucking asshole.
It's just an
Yeah,
asshole.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
That's another thing
do
with the
page him
biopic.
as
Thank you, Angela.
Depending on which.
I don't give a
direction you
fuck.
go.
yeah. And then the whole adding of the
Oliver
whole
Stone.
car accident and the mystical elements is like, I don't know. That just, I know it kind of went with like the psychedelic feel of the trippy dippy 60s, and that's what he was
Yeah.
going for. But
Yeah.
like I said, Stone has never done anything that I really like, you know. I think he's pompous as a
see.
director.
Well, throw a couple of his other films out there, name wise.
Apocalypse Now.
Absolutely love that movie.
I
Because
hate
I've
it,
always
but-
been a big Marlon Brando fan.
Yeah, I like that.
wasn't he in that only for like about 5 minutes?
No, he probably had 7 or 8 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I love that movie. That was a great one of my favorite all-time movies. I got to tell you guys.
Oh, it's got some great scenes. Like I said,
got some
you know,
great
he's
scenes.
very cinematic, obviously, you know, but I just feel like he crawls up his own ass in his films. You know, it's all Oliver, you know.
Royce,
That's
make
funny.
yourself small again, buddy.
Oh, I'm still big.
Share the spotlight a little.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, I'll share it a whole lot right now, Chris. I'll pop you up
Hey.
there. You go.
Get
there.
I'm sharing it.
Well, James was just talking about watching this, and I was joking because I was
Uh-huh.
looking at the Doors movie, and he mentioned the Hollywood Bowl, and I was actually holding it when he was talking about
You
it.
got to be kidding me.
No.
Man, you're like clairvoyant or something.
Well, that's funny because I played the Doors Chicago
That's
Chicago
why.
Live for this set today. I
Yeah, how
enjoyed
did
it.
it sound? Yeah?
Do you know that
I really enjoyed it.
Dr. Rick rebuilt Val Kilmer's Marantz tube stereo amp? Wow, that is amazing, Dr. Rick.
Cool.
That is like beyond cool. Yeah.
All right, you can take me off the spotlight again. I'm good.
Oh, okay. I thought
I had my 10 seconds. I'm good.
Okay, we're gonna look at Michael's fireplace.
Next up,
There you go.
Hey, that's
Andy Warhol's soup, Campbell's soup poster. You know,
I need a marshmallows.
Mark, look at that. Man, you've expanded your inventory there.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
Apocalypse and was Coppola. Okay, there we
Coppola.
go. Okay.
Okay, that's you're right. You're right.
Yeah, Coppola. Thank you.
That's a short call.
Well,
Thank you.
didn't care for it though.
Darren. You didn't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I
Didn't
liked
care
it.
for it.
Need to find more love, Michael.
For some reason I was attracted to all of those movies like that, you know.
Yeah. Well, if you're talking about that last comment about
Platoon. Yes.
now that we're
Piccolino the cat.
the guy that I was talking about. Now that you put Francis Ford in there, I can't think of his name. Oliver
Uh-oh.
Stone.
Stone.
But
Where's my
Oliver
stones over
Stone, he does put it in there, but he believes in a lot of stuff that I just don't necessarily go for. And he has to throw it in your face. And if you don't buy his enchilada,
Right.
if you come from my perspective, it's like I don't know. But I still see the greatness in how he put the film together. I can see why he's a big director and all of that, but he just doesn't do it for me, folks. That's all. You know.
Oh yeah, well, it's like life itself. We build our own internal filters, and
Right.
sometimes we get to the point where we don't even notice that the filter's on. We just don't
Yeah.
see it, because because we
Yeah.
blocked it out.
Yeah,
We don't care
that's
for a
right.
particular
Hey,
whatever.
Michael, Piccolino the cat says you're really a grouch tonight.
Yeah, that's what we've been
But
discussing for the past 5
but
minutes there,
but
Royce.
no,
Keep up.
no. I know I've had that up. I've had that up for 5 minutes though.
Yeah.
No, I hear you.
I'm picking at you, bud.
It's all good. I don't care. Pontoon. Yeah, that's the name of that war movie, Pontoon.
Pontoon.
Yeah.
Pontoon. I know.
Yeah, that's the sequel, right? Is that the
Platoon,
prequel?
And this is why Dr. Rick had to rebuild that Marantz.
Let's see
Val
if
blew it up while shooting the Doors
let's see
movie.
if we can catch this. Here you go. Can you read my shirt? Somebody, was a Christmas gift. Can you read that?
Remember when I asked for your opinion? Me neither.
Yeah.
I said,
Remember
boy,
that.
they nailed it.
That's great. That's great.
I said,
I
yeah.
didn't know that Morrison Hotel burned down recently. Wow. There goes a piece of history.
Nah, I didn't know.
Yeah,
And
it's just recently.
Jimmy Carter died today.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Yes, he
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100 years old.
I don't know where I was, but I popped in at one stream for a couple of minutes, taking a break, and they were saying we shouldn't be talking, they were talking about Billy Carter and some different things, and somebody said, why don't we not talk about Jimmy Carter, given what just happened today? At that point, I didn't know what had just happened.
Yeah.
So,
100
Michael,
years
what
old.
were you saying about the conversation about the Bob Dylan movie on another channel today?
It changed. That's not.
Just
Oh,
that
here we
a
go.
lot of the folks over on Rachel's loved it,
Yeah.
or were defending the idea of the biopic. How it needs to be concise and packaged into a nice 2 hour, 2.5, 3 hour, depending on
Oh, geez.
what the runtime is.
Yeah.
Little package, and so they take out characters. We talked about how. In the biopic, the Buddy Holly story, they eliminated a cricket. Okay. The Crickets were a three-piece band behind Buddy.
Okay.
They had another guitar player in the band. And so, when they start to rewrite history like that, I'm not a fan of that.
Right.
So if it seems like I'm in a foul mood tonight, it's not because of that. I wasn't going to be up today. And I told Royce that because I'm not a major Bob Dylan fan for his voice. I don't collect his records. All right. I have nothing but respect for him as a songwriter. He's one of the probably top 3 songwriters in classic rock. And so I have tons of respect for him. But he's one of those guys that, there's Axl and Rose and there's Bob Dylan for me. And I was going to bring this up before, Royce. I'll give you an example of a voice that really grates on people, and I love it. And that's Neil Young's voice. I think, but when I first heard it, I went, and it took me a second to kind of tune in. I just haven't been able to do that with Bob Dylan as far as, but his songs are some of my favorite songs in rock and roll.
Yeah.
And on top of all of that, if there's any other negativity, we had to deal with some take out the trash earlier on with a Nimrod. And so it sometimes, one bad thing, the rolling effect and everything.
Yeah.
So
but
I'm
that's
back, folks.
No
I'm
reason
as chipper
to not
as a.
show up. I'm so glad you did show up because.
Well, I was going to say this.
Yeah, so am I.
Royce and I have talked about it. We want everybody on the panel to have something to offer, and I just didn't like. I'm not. I thought you guys were going to go in a thing. I'm not a fan of biopics, and I'm not a fan of his records. Okay, so I thought make room for somebody else on the panel that was more of a fan for him. But Royce convinced me, and I go, all right, I'll be up here.
Royce is right because this isn't about being a fan; it's about discussing the topic.
Right.
So that being a fan doesn't matter. it's
Yeah.
good to hear all sides of or opinions of all four of us.
Right.
I'm not. I was really
Well,
late.
and
I've
that,
never been the
yeah,
greatest or a big fan of
Thank you,
Dylan, and
Jersey.
the movie, whatever. But I'm sure I'll catch it eventually. But I'm not
Right.
going to run out and watch it. But
No,
yeah, like
I'll
you
give it a
said,
watch,
there's
but I'm not going to go out to a theater to watch it.
right. That's what I was.
Right.
I thought I was clear about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
yeah,
Yeah.
will catch it. Netflix or something. Eventually, it'll show up. But yeah,
Yeah.
some of his music is really good. His voice style, yeah, it's not.
yeah.
There's
It's like a fine
Yeah,
wine. You either develop a taste for it or you
yeah.
don't.
That's what I was
Well,
trying to
it's
say.
like
Yeah,
we've talked about this. My wife cannot stand Rod Stewart's voice. She just can't stand it. I've even gone back quite recently and showed her some Jeff Beck group stuff with him, and she goes, "It still grades on me." Now, for whatever reason, it just does.
Yeah,
And I can sit here until I'm blue in the face and going, but you understand, darling, he is considered not just by me, but by rock in general as one of rock's premier blues vocalists.
yeah.
There's a
yeah,
reason why Jeff Beck wanted him in his group,
yeah.
and but she to this day she just can't
Well,
she can't make that jump, and I can't.
and
And she also reiterated my belief with Bob Dylan. She also pretty much agrees with me with Bob Dylan. He's never really done much for her either. So,
and then
uh,
they invented
yeah,
strawberry.
yeah.
Right.
hey,
And then there was the strawberry incident.
hey, Royce
Right.
has got this the comment
Strawberry
on here
fields forever.
from Eric Schultz here. This comment, Royce, I agree.
Yeah, yeah,
Like he changed his voice.
Yeah.
Another example of how his voice is different is listen to Tweeter and the Monkey Man from the Traveling Wilburys. That's
Yeah.
a different style of his singing.
Yeah.
That's
And
what you
Eric
really
is
want.
right.
You pretty
Lay
much-
Lady Lay is a wonderful song, and I love his voice in that.
yeah.
That's
No,
kind of
that,
the
that's
one
right. Yeah,
song where I go, wow, almost crooner like. I love it.
There's that, maybe Tangled Up in Blue
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
or the Hurricane. I like the Hurricane too.
yeah. Hurricane Carter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you
Yeah,
what,
I was
folks, we've
just
been
gonna
going
bring
for
up,
going for a little over an hour and a
Yeah,
half now.
might as well.
So I would just invite the panel if they have any closing remarks before we sign off. I'll go ahead. I'll just say that I personally enjoyed the movie. I was very entertained by it, and that's what I want to say about the movie. How about you, Michael? What do you think?
Well, I've already said what I was going to say, but Royce, I was going to tell you, I've got. I bring up this point for a little shameless promotion, if you don't mind, since we're closing off.
Oh, no, you go right ahead.
I just on my channel, I have done a series of polls. This is a 6-part poll,
Yeah, I've been.
and
Yeah,
it actually has wound up becoming my most successful poll. 11,500 votes so far on this
Nice.
puppy,
Nice.
and the amazing thing was this. It was, like I said, 6 parts. I covered the top selling albums of rock and roll. And out of those, the top winners of the first 5 parts, or first 4 parts, I should say. Let's see, where was this? There we go. I'm going to get down to this. Yeah, it was a 5-part poll. So the first 4, the winner in all of these was Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin, 1971, 24 million sold. So it won in its category. The White Album with 24 million sales. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up, folks, is these are all albums we have quite recently discussed on this show. Physical Graffiti won in its category with 16 million sold, and Note 2 double albums as the greatest sellers. I mean, that's quite an accomplishment. And then finally, Dark Side of the Moon, okay, with a total of 15 million. Okay, now that's registered on this list. Now, which of those albums do you guys think? I'd like to go around the panel. 1, the White Album, Led Zeppelin 1, or Led Zeppelin 4, I should say. Yeah, it was a Led Zeppelin 4. I've got the wrong year on it.
Yeah.
Physical Graffiti or Dark Side? Who won it?
I said Led
Probably.
Zeppelin 4 on that. That was
Mhm.
that was what I voted, Led Zeppelin 4.
I'd say
Okay,
Zeppelin 4 or Dark Side of the Moon, but I think Dark Side probably would have won it.
right. Okay, how about
Most
you, Nick?
likely. Dark Side with a close physical graffiti.
You know, and that's the thing. I would have thought more along the lines as you. I was quite surprised with this poll. The winner is the White Album by the Beatles. It took 37% of the vote. Now, in number 2 was Dark Side of the Moon, 32%, with only 22% going to Led Zeppelin 4 and only 10% to Physical Graffiti
Now,
under these conditions.
I
Isn't that
do
amazing?
I do remember. I mean, and I did pick my favorite out of this group, but I do remember as the poll progressed, there was one place where I did choose the White Album.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. But I just thought it was quite interesting because I did this poll knowing that we had covered so many of these albums in the last 3 or 4 months, or they've been mentioned while we covered another album so many times. But I'm amazed because the White Album still holds the ground with the people. That I was amazed how well the White Album did, especially when I believe was it Abbey Road was on the list to begin with, and it's the White Album, that people voted for. That's their favorite.
Boy, tough year, Eric. Tough year.
Me, myself, that would be like a 25% split across the board,
Right.
Like,
right.
How do you, my
I didn't
favorite on
catch
that list is Physical Graffiti, but I would say probably any one of them would be the best for sure.
Yeah. The White Album is my favorite double album, with Physical Graffiti being number 2. So
I'm the opposite of that. I switched.
Yeah.
Those.
Right.
Well,
And I can
Desert
understand that.
Island
Yeah.
Record, any of them would be fine.
Yes.
Oh God, all 4 of those albums, we've talked about it. They're masterpieces for sure. And now let me ask you something. How many people think that
Can't hear you,
lost you.
Yeah.
Lost you, Mike. Michael.
We can't hear anything you're saying, Michael.
You just dropped out, buddy.
Yeah.
And that was Michael Nolan. Thanks. And go see his videos. There's plenty of them and always good conversation. And thank you, Michael.
No, not on yet. I have no idea why. I mean, got to be on your end. We can all hear each other, right?
Well, Royce, if you were going to cut him out, you could at least give him a warning,
That's right.
Okay. Well, we've lost a quarter of our group here. Always good information, though. From
Well,
Michael.
you know what? Let me just talk for a second here to the chat while we're wrapping up. I just want to I want to thank everybody that came into the chat. If you haven't hit the thumbs up yet, please do. That's great.
Absolutely.
If you're not a subscriber yet, please hit the subscribe button. But most of all, just keep coming back. I really enjoy our chat. I think we have the best chat, out there, bar none.
Lots of fun.
Lots of fun. People know what they're talking about, and it's just a great chat, And you can't always show everybody's comments when you're talking and trying to do a show and stuff like that. But I try to get as many out there as I can, because I know people want their comments seen and heard and stuff, and I want to see them and hear them. But anyway, so thank you all so much. I don't know. Should we close off without Michael at least being here? I don't know if he'll be back on.
He probably gave up for the evening.
Okay, well, Chris and Nick, thanks a lot for being here. And I was wondering where you were initially, Nick.
Yeah, I was finishing up some stuff, and then boom.
Yeah, I think we'll put that Electric Lady studio at Jimi Hendrix Vision in front of Celebration Day.
Somehow I knew that. Okay.
Okay.
Electric Ladyland. Okay.
Electric Lady, yeah. Electric
I
Lady
got that
Studio.
one.
Yeah.
I
Oh, do
think
you?
I have that. Yes.
I bet you do. You probably got like 3 versions of it.
I'm not
Thank,
gonna
thank you,
lie.
Dr. Rick, Eric, Angela, Kate.
See you later, everyone.
Thank all of you, Jersey Devil. Really appreciate y'all being here. And that's what's happening in Royce's world today. Thank you all so much for joining us. Good night, all.